What's up, people? Give me a second. I have to change the screen. Allie's going to be joining us for a little bit, so I was not ready for two people. I was ready for three, so just bear with me while I make this look less shitty.
Yeah, no, that's okay. Because, like I said, because it was kind of last minute for us to add her, so she said she'd be on. Uh, so she'll hop on.
All right, all right, cool. There all right. This kind of looks a little better, a little bit. Stuff's kind of all over the place, but I can't see the fucking chat because my monitors aren't set up right. Wait, you guys can't hear Cyrus? Can you hear him now? Cyrus, can you say something?
Can you hear me now? Well, you can hear me.
Yeah, I hear you. I just don't know that I set up the capture right. It was working when I did a recording earlier.
Yeah,
Um,
this is
wait.
why should have used. I just got my laptop back literally like 15 minutes ago, so I was like, I would have used StreamYard, but I just got my laptop 15 minutes ago.
Yeah, I got. Okay, they can hear you. They can't hear me. That doesn't make sense. My mic says it's working, and it was working on the last scene. All right. What is going on? Am I still soft? I turned up the gain on my mic. I can turn it up more. All right. Sounds like we're good. Sorry for the technical difficulties. Literally just moving back in. Cyrus is working off a laptop, so we're putting it together. But thanks for joining us, everybody. Mikey wants to know how your balls are, Cyrus. I don't know what that's
Uh,
about.
he just saw me like I don't know 30 minutes ago. Fine.
Did he kick you in the nuts in practice?
Didn't run away. Yeah,
That sounds like him.
that's actually like him. So I don't know.
I am still sick. I don't know what it was. It's been like 2 fucking weeks. Turns out fighting and Spanish dust and international travel is not the way to fight off a flu.
No.
So
I think a lot of people. A lot of people the thing about it is a lot of people came back and they had like coughs and sand, dirt coughs and sand coughs and
yeah,
jet lag.
yeah, yeah. I'm still fighting jet lag 3 days later. Um, all right, but we're here to talk about not being sick, but how sick the tournament was. Um,
Yeah,
so I don't know if you have a sort of an agenda you want to go through, or if we'll just
yeah,
freeform off. All right.
yeah. So what I want to do first is I know I didn't really do a public post about it about everybody's rankings, but I did want to say congratulations to everyone, and I'm going to talk about the results of where everybody kind of landed. At least where we medaled at the very least. Um, And with the biggest one, the main show of all tournaments, the 5v5s for the men's tournaments, USA one got gold. So congratulations to you, Ringo, and then and the executioners, for that.
Finally, after fucking
You guys
since the
hadn't
first
been,
one, dude, we haven't got a gold in IMCF fives since the first one. This is
yeah, that's the thing. Like as soon as this is the first one, everybody's been dominating it. It's kind of nice. There's really, this is Jay's last run at it, so
mm-hmm.
it's kind of just due for that.
I
At
mean,
least you
like,
get
if I can just take a second to talk on that, because, like, that story to me is so fucking cool. So, Jay, right, is instrumental in forming the IMCF, along with Andre and a bunch of those guys. Hate them or love them, they made this shit happen, right? And obviously, a bunch of, I don't know who was involved from the other European countries, but, like, there's a whole crew of folks who, like, bravely stepped out and said, we're going to make our own thing. So, like, hats off to all of them, even the ones who, like, stepped down and kind of fucked us this year. But so Jay, helps make this happen. The first one is in Spain, 2014, 2013. I don't know what year it is. It's the first time we get gold. We fucking kill it. Jay is like injured in a fucking in a ambulance fighting the guys to like get back to the list so he can watch his team fucking win. And he gets the victory. And then since then we aren't able to get one. And you know, we've been trying. And then right before COVID, we managed to get a spot. We were going over to Poland, I think it was. And then COVID happens, shuts it down. And that was the first time the Executioners were going to get to run together as a squad. And that gets shut. So he has to put that off. He gets COVID like 2 or 3 times. He's getting older, doesn't know that he's going to have it to happen ever again. And then, you know, sort of this ray of sunshine comes up, and we aren't able to rep as the Fives. The Warlords, you guys beat us out. But then the Warlords decide they're going to go to Buhurt World Cup, which opens the Fives. Executioners get to field as the Fives. Jays goes out there for his last time at the same place that was the first time he got a Fives. Gets a Fives gold again. And it was honestly the best I've seen him fight in 4 years. I hope he retires though. Like, go out on that fucking on that.
Yeah, on that note, don't. Yeah, that's like even that's like any champion of any person like knows, like, if you win this, don't come back. Like,
Yeah.
if you win, you're aging, don't. It's like, and it's sometimes, and I get it. It's as a competitor, it's like, or as a competitor or fighter, like, it's hard. Like, it sparks your thing, like, oh, maybe I can do it again, and then it kind of,
Yeah.
that's not the way far after that.
Yeah.
Like,
and you see a bunch of people do it too. They come back and they're like Jordan for the fucking for the Wizards. In fighting, you got.
That's a different though. He came back. However, he was scoring like still like 40 points against.
Sure.
He just didn't have a team that was like going to be like, yeah, we can work with that.
Yeah. I mean, like, he was still Jordan, but like it's still like it kind of like tarnishes the legacy a little bit because you're like you went out there and you know, and it's nothing happened, right? So that's it's the don't like end out as a fucking champion looking solid. Don't go out looking kind of like a bum. So I really hope he sticks to that, but I can understand if he's like, no, I did excellent, I'm coming back again. So
I hear a little birdie who was talking to me on the way back that you guys have there's a potential person who is at Belmonte that might be filling in.
You got better spies and rumors than I got. I haven't heard about this yet.
All I know is he said that there was a little bit of conversation. He looks very similar to me because people were consuming mixing him up with me the whole time. But he said, it's possible that maybe that spot gets filled by one of that guy.
Yeah, I mean, if it's the other, the bald one, I would love to have an axe man to on the team, and he swings a good axe, so it'd be cool. It'd definitely be cool. I assume. Charles isn't gonna fucking dip on the Warlords.
No, not that one.
I don't know if you heard that mix up too. That one was hilarious to me because dude's got fucking dreads. It looks nothing like you.
Yeah, it looks like
that was.
But like I said, I think it's like you said, it's a good note for you guys for him to end on, but it's also a good note for you guys to be reinvigorated for yourselves. Be like, okay, we got this one world championship. What else is out there, and to come back again. So I think that's gonna be great for you guys.
Yeah.
And then let's go with the women's fives.
Mm-hmm.
History was made, right? Never done 5-5s in IMCF ever before.
Yep.
And then through all the scheduling and things like that happened, and women's dropping in and out, and there ended up being 4 women's teams or 5 women's teams.
I believe it was 4.
4 women's teams. We got 4 women's 5-5 teams. Our ragtag bunch of at the Alliance, they picked up silver, and Shelby did a fantastic job. And I know she took some notes from some of the other women's team, the Mythics and Lauren. I know they did some background talking about strategy and things like that they could do. But the rest of it was all Shelby. He's only been in the sport like a year and some change, I think. Maybe like 2 years, maybe.
Yeah.
Change.
She stepped up huge to manage to captain that, put together, a couple, not just that team, but the threes teams too. Like, put together a bunch of teams, work together, having to deal with some big personalities on the rest of the team, and so hats off to her for making that happen for real.
Yeah. So I don't know if you get pinged, but I know that I just saw the message. If you get pinged, if she's waiting on standby now, she will pop in, pop out. I don't know how that works, but she'll be in there.
Yeah, no, when she wants to join, it should give me a little thing. Someone's trying to pop in, but
But yeah, but like I said, history was made. I think that was well earned. I think the alliance is going to be. I know that the alliance is kind of is a mixture of one or two people from the Northeast and some Matagos, and then some, in my region, the Southwestern region,
yeah.
in Texas women. And I think that if they can get on the same page, at least the core five that are in that southern region, I know some of the Matagos are going to go back and train themselves and go bring back, but I think that's going to be a good team to work with. I think this also gave some of the Matagos some of that reinvigoration, to come back and train. I was talking to Beth and some of the others, Kat and stuff like that. They were just like, yeah, they were like, this is what they needed to like really. They all finally got to be all together in one place, and I know they said they're going to try to do some things.
Yeah, it would be huge to see the Matagos come back, especially the Mythics coming off that great fucking performance in at Buhurt World Cup, and then to see some teams come up, some other teams coming up, and like Matagos from back in the day, huge team, and now the alliance is looking good, so that they'll really get tested. So for the next time we go out, we'll just be that much stronger. So yeah, big excited for that.
Ali just I forgot about the one out. She forgot about the. She remember she did. Oh yeah, I forgot. And she was like, oh, I'm running late.
Okay.
She's gonna try to get connected. Cool. Okay. But yeah. So next we have the men's 16s gold, which I didn't know before. That's pretty much a regular occurrence. Like the U.S. usually finish either top one or two in that category.
Yeah.
But still, I think the good thing about that is that this was not a team of like the vets. This was a team of mostly new people. It was led by Tanner Taylor and Charles Harris. So I think this inspires those guys to be like, yes, they are validated as well. They're like Houston and those guys have been working really hard for the last couple of years. And I think that this is going to be a good win for them. I know they earned it. Especially they were taking especially when people got hurt, dropped out. There were some people in, some people out, and getting other people to really deliver. And they really measured their lineups. So I think this is a good win for them too.
Yeah. Yeah, and I know Tanner was fucking hype on it, and so they really want to go and get more 16s happening and more mass melees, which, shout out to War in the North that AMCF is going to be doing August 12th. If you want mass melees, we'll be making it happen. So, yeah.
Yeah. I definitely think that's a category that will, and some people may or may not agree, but I think it's definitely one of those things that's going to be the future of the sport. I think that's going to be the showpiece that people are like, oh yeah. Now fives will always be the ultra competitive. It's just now no round around it. But I think tens is right in the middle of 16s and fives, where it's just chaotic enough to see where things are going, but then you can still understand.
Yeah. And like the nice thing about tens, the reasons the tens got made early IMCF was actually that it was so hard for countries to put together 21-man teams for Baton, and then 16s for the IMCF even, which you only need 21 men, but like that's still a lot. And the same is true even in the US where we have a lot of guys. Most clubs are never going to get a 16-man team, but the bigger clubs should be able to do a 10-man team, and then the smaller clubs, if you have a club you like that you work really well with, you can make a 10-man team that's the two of your clubs together. So I think 10s is, like you said, fives is always going to be the ultra competitive because that's the easiest to put together. Where you start to get good movement, because threes is, a little boring. I've done a shit ton of threes in my time, but it's pretty boring.
I'm really hoping that at this point, like the threes never happen ever again. Like it just needs to go away. It's this last death rows for like the wins, but even the women don't want it to.
No, threes are a great thing when it's all you can do. Like if it's a way to get out there, because it's the earliest you can start seeing melee movement, But no, if you ever have a chance to do fives, do fives, and on the international level, we should hopefully never do threes again.
I think threes is only okay for smaller format things, so like a chapter war, or if it's just really your training and your new guys. That's the really only place it like
Exactly.
it doesn't really belong anywhere else.
Exactly. So hopefully we won't be seeing that in IMCF anymore.
Yeah. I know
Yeah.
I'm lobbying for it. I hope that it does go away, but like I said, it just depends on it really just depends on attendance and things like that. So, and then also, I think one of those things also is that what helped this year is the Merc rules, especially for the women's. Some of the women's were short. They had six, but they didn't have eight. They had five, but they didn't have eight. So I think really helping with the Mercs, things like that. I know the Ukraine only came with six in total, so but
Right.
that was it. But I know they got one or two extra people. So.
Right. Yeah. Allowing mercs for some of the category for the bigger categories. I hope we kind of keep something for that going forward. Like 16s, I think is a great place to have mercs. But like if we keep it out of the tens and the men's fives, and then until more countries can put together the women's. But we proved that we can do women's fives this year. So hopefully that's enough to show IMCF that it works, right?
Yeah. But IMCF and Buhurt League, they both of those events, they were,
Oh yeah.
and they even did 12s over there, which I didn't know until I.
Women's 12s, they made that happen. Oh, that's fucking sick.
They made women's 12s. I was like, oh snap! I gotta find footage of that.
Yeah.
But I think, but the thing about it is that for our tens tournament, we're also doing women's tens. So,
Yep.
if we get enough women's, I know the Mythics said that they want to do it because they have like 11, so they think that's the first time they can bring all 11 and try to find. I think they're just going to try to huff it with all 11
Yeah.
that they have.
And if they can find some extras, like one of the things, again, not to derail this, but for the one of the North, what we're trying to do is allow up to 20 instead of the standard 15 because we want to give more rounds, and 15 if people start to get hurt or tired. It's like if a 10s round can go 4 or 5 minutes pretty easily, and you can get really tired. And this way we can do full line changes. Everyone can get a lot of time in it. So we added up a little bit, and then also it allows for more people to get in, and we'll have Merc rules. If you don't have a team, still sign up. We'll make sure you get fighting. We do have a cap. I don't remember what it is, but just sign up, get in. But yeah, that's in the future. We're talking about Belmonte.
So I think that's it for the melees. I know we had USA 2. We lost in our bronze match.
That was the tough one. They're a good team though. Denmark's they're legit with some real vets who've been tested for a while.
Vets, and when I didn't until I talked to their country rep and their captain that was over there, what they do, their selection system is a little bit different. So they pick an all-star team like 2 or 3 months out, like 3 months out, and then they have a trainer, like an actual separate trainer who also not only helps the lineup and rotation. Sometimes he'll do selection, and then he just puts them in a training regimen the entire time so they get all on the same page and they're all cohesive, and then they go. So it's like, oh man, that's a good idea. Which I had the time.
I feel like there's someone who's been arguing for that for 10 years. I don't know who it could be, but talking about how we should do tryouts on the combine. I think I maybe have mentioned that a few times.
We'll see. I think you have that, but I think it's kind of like I think that it does exist. It's called Dominus. So
yeah, I was gonna say Dominus proved that it works, right? Like the people have been saying the All-Star method is dumb, and then a bunch of those people who've been saying it are now on the best All-Star team the U.S. has ever put out. So All-Star method works. Dominus proved it. They're fucking amazing. Boom.
So yeah, the women's 3v3s. Unfortunately, I mean, my team got eliminated. We placed fourth in that gold bronze match. It was a hard fought match. Came down in the third round, the very end, but didn't go there. We have our women's 3v3 teams. Unfortunately, none of them made it out of the pools. Unfortunately, one was controversial, and I'll kind of explain what happened. And it, I wish I could answer you and tell you exactly why it took so long. I don't know the answer to that. So I did ask. It was just kind of one of those things that got lost in the shuffle. But we had two women's 3 teams. One just straight up didn't make it out of their pools. It just kind of didn't work out for them. The other one where it was pretty close, pretty much it was a 3-way deadlock, right? Everyone in their pool lost to someone in their pool. And then when that happens, it goes to the points. And it just took them until the last minute to decide to figure out to calculate the points. I don't know why that happened or how that happened, or the scheduling.
So I don't know what you know about this, but there's rumors kicking around that the way the points were decided for the men's tens were the exact opposite of the way they were decided for the women's threes. And
I don't.
I don't know but there's that we changed stuff, and there's that, and people are throwing that out there, and I don't know how true it is. I'm not saying it is or isn't. I'm just saying if you know anything.
If I did, I would say I wasn't aware of how the points worked out for the tens because I didn't. Once again, um, I wasn't aware of. I don't know how the tens points came out. I don't. I wasn't including that conversation. Usually, I am. Uh, and yeah, so all I know about what happened to the threes, as far as what I was told when it came to the men's tens, is that there was in the USA bracket there was a tie because everyone lost to everyone, but the way the points still worked out, that our team got eliminated, but then the other pool, pretty much a bunch of teams like forfeited and dropped out. I know that the day before the tournament even started, that one of the teams in the USA bracket dropped out completely, so they didn't even factor them in. So they had one less match than the other pools.
So that is what I sort of was told on how it happened is that, and I don't know if this is true. This is just what's been kicked around is that for the women fought our women threes fought Brazil, beat Brazil, then Brazil dropped out, and we got the points for fighting Brazil that we had, and then the other teams got 5 total points for Brazil as if they beat them with 5 standing. But then our men's got 0 points for the team that withdrew in their bracket. And that is sort of where I think people are like, but it went one way for the men's, and then, 3 points. Chuck is correcting me.
So for the women's, yes, everyone got 3 points, including our team for that team that dropped out.
We got 3 points too?
We got 3 points too.
Okay.
Yeah, I saw the paperwork. So
okay.
on that one,
yeah.
So that one I can test to. Everyone got the same 3 points.
Okay.
But when those points were all added, it still was.
Okay. That tracks then.
Yeah. For the men's tens, I don't know for sure. I don't even know if they even factored in points because once again, before this tournament even started, the day before, that team withdrew. So I don't even think I think they just took them out and didn't give them any. No one got. They just totally took them out.
Okay. So that was because they withdrew the day before instead of during the tournament. They treated it differently.
They treated it different.
Okay.
So,
all right, that makes sense.
Yeah, my understanding is my understanding. So no, but that's very valid because I knew about that, but I wasn't sure how that. And then, like I said, and it just worked out for the other team when another 2 teams just basically said, "Hey, we got to forfeit."
Yeah.
So, ahead of time, so it sucks, but at the same time, it's like it's unfortunate. I wish it hadn't happened that way because you could rebalance or reshuffle it. I would rather have just said, okay, if it was me saying that, I would just put them all in one because I think it'll end up being like 5 teams at the end of the day. I think it was supposed to be 9, and then it dropped down to like 5.
Right.
I would have rather just put everyone in the playoffs and they just done it that way. But I know time and all these other things, but that's just me personally. Had I been aware, just running it. But once again, I wasn't running it, I wasn't charging it, but I'm a part of the committee, so I can be like, I can only know so much.
Chuck in the chat is saying it would be a lot easier if the points and the results were transparent, which obviously, they were under the gun and, it wasn't the best situation for them to make that happen. But in the future, I think that would really help.
Yeah, I think that as far as transparency, everything was written down, so everything is on paper. I don't have access. I can probably ask for it. I have to ask for all the paperwork.
I feel like people would be very interested to see that posted. If we can put that up, I don't know how hard that would be, but if you want to bring that to them, I'm pretty sure. I know I personally would, but I'm also a stats nerd. But I think a lot of other people would be too. going forward if we had that, somewhere visible. But like I also understand if they're like, we don't want to because we don't want to put refs' names out and get people attacked on social media and shit like that.
There's
I'm
that.
just,
Yeah. So we'll see with that. So that's with our melee teams. Let's go into singles.
Oh, we didn't. Did we cover what happened with our tens?
So tens finished 1-1.
1-1. We didn't have 3. Oh, because the guy dropped. Because the other team dropped. Right.
Yeah.
Right. We lost to Spain and we beat Finland.
Yes, I do believe that's what they finished at.
Okay. Yeah, and then obviously they didn't go through.
16's undefeated. USA 2, we lost our 5-5s. We lost 2 matches, 1 to Spain 1, which actually was really a solid team. I can't really complain to them. And then we lost to them, of course, we had 5.
Yeah, Spain 1 was legit. I mean,
It legit worked.
They took us to one man both times, and one of those times we got some ref help. So
so I can't complain. Even though there were some things that happened that were like, and
my only complaint is that you guys were injured, so we didn't get to fight you. That's my only complaint. Is that like
before we change topics and we talk about singles, I'll answer that because I got a lot of flack. I saw a lot of flack about that.
Yeah.
And and I even answered this when I went back on commentary. I said, and even my team, half my team was like, yeah, I understand. The half team was like, they don't like it, and I understand. But I had to make a judgment call, like, right. So, you guys were pretty fresh at the time, and and this is a semi-final, right? And we're beat up. You guys are tired, and I had to decide. And then we already lost to Spain once. Mm-hmm. And let's say that we fought and we came out on top. It didn't serve a purpose with me because we were already beat up, which means that someone on both of our teams, if not more, was going to get hurt. Just us fighting. It's just a clear fact. And so now we're at a disadvantage because we're going to go into the gold match because a lot of my guys are even more hurt. And you guys are hurt and then trying to scramble for bronze.
Yeah.
Let's say it was the other way around. We had fought. It would have been the same way if you guys had won. You guys were still beat up, not as fresh, and not as fresh. And then we've been the same thing. But then also, regardless of what that was, regardless of how amicable it would have been, it still would have splintered us as a team USA, period, anyway.
Yeah, and we had the 16s too, which a bunch of,
right.
Charles was on that, Paul was on that. I think most of my team was on that, and I know a bunch of your team was too.
And my only person who wasn't on it was me.
Right, yeah. So yeah, and it's not like we are either of our teams were particularly like, Jay is a murderer, Spencer's a murderer. Charles we had 3 people swinging heavy axes, and then it's not like the rest of us are really gentle fighters anyway, right? Yeah. So, if Charles didn't have a concussion, if your hand weren't broken, if fucking Spencer's foot wasn't fucked up, it's a different story. But you guys are already coming in broke, right? Watching you try to fight the singles and having to get talked out of it. I completely understand where it's like you're already in that bad of a shape that I don't know. I get it. My unhappiness is not with the call; it's with the situation that you had to be in to make that call.
And if it came down to a medal round, we just would have fine.
Right.
But we're talking about a semifinal, and I kind of hate that happened. But if it wasn't us, it was going to be Spain 1 or Spain 2 or Canada 1 to Canada 2. Someone would have ended up fighting somewhere. And that's the unfortunate side effect of that multiple teams. And I don't have fine with us. And I have no problem with the setup of us being able to take 2 teams. I think in my mind, in the future, if that's to happen, we have 2 teams. There's separate divisions, right? There's a gold division, there's a silver division, so you don't have that. But that's just me. But once again, this was an opportunity for us to field more teams. And we filled out the fives. I think we ended up having 6 teams, 5 teams anyway, so it's fine. But once again, I decided to make a call. Like, what was better for Team USA as far as unity and this, and having a chance to win and have everyone, getting in. It was fine. And I figured, like, in my mind, I'm like, even if we had lost, there was still another chance for men's 16. So either way, there was like a lot of ways because we took 50, 51, 52 people and 30 plus walked away with medals. So it's kind of like,
Yeah.
also overall, USA dominated this. So going into this, let's talk about the singles. Shoshana.
Just before we get to the singles stuff, Nerdy Rad Tech was saying that something about they told their IMCF they wanted more transparency. So I don't know what country you're from, Nerdy Rad. If you want to shout out your actual name. And then Chuck also said that he respects the tough call. You got some respect from. And Julie also says it was a good call. And then the last thing is that Nerdy Rad Tech again goes, I feel like the Teams USA got the crappy brackets the way it worked out every time. So I'm not gonna say anything on that. But maybe
Here's the thing about it say as a crappy bracket, but the brackets were all live streamed on a live streamed live.
Right.
Like, it really was a luck of the draw, like just how it ended up, because everything was live streamed. So it was kind of like it wasn't done, man. It wasn't done behind closed doors when it happened. So I understand how, but still, it's just how they ended up, right? But singles,
Yeah.
we can literally say now that Shoshana is the greatest sword and shield competitor of all time.
Best sword fighter in the world, hands down.
We're gonna beat her. I couldn't beat her. I don't think in my best way I couldn't beat her. So I just don't think that's gonna happen. Not fought one tournament, turned around, did another tournament, best fighter, and then turned around.
Also won pro fights.
I'll say sword and shield pro fight and gold medal for sword and shield, and gold medal for the lightweight pro fights.
Yeah.
So there's that. And then we have Julie coming in with the silver and longsword.
Yeah.
Number 2, and I know
again at two events. So
number 2. So you're talking about there's 1 or 2 people in the entire world that are better than you.
Right.
And not even really better. It was like, look at the points. It's like
better that day.
Because the one person that Julie lost to, Julie beat maybe like the month and a half before. So
yeah.
It was just a very small window of things like that, and so there's that. And then my only thing, and then she turned around and did pro fights, and then got bronze in pro fights. So I think when I look at those two women, it's like, I told Shoshana, take a couple weeks off. Couch, get fat. I don't want to see you put videos on your Instagram talking about you're back at it.
I mean, have you been following her Instagram? She was on the beach, Marcin, and it looked like Jose were out swimming, and she's just like, nah, I don't need this. Sitting there making herself a rum and coke. It's like, yeah, enjoy it.
I told her, go eat some ice cream, go get fat, go do nothing for like at least 2-3 weeks. 2-3 weeks. I said maybe a month if you can, but just do nothing. Then challenge yourself. There's no, I mean, don't get me wrong. I think there's some competitors out there that can really challenge her, but they've got some work to do. It's going to be a while.
Yeah.
And same thing for Julie. I told Julie, before we come back at it, take a break. You're number 2, and I don't want you to burn yourself out. Trying to do something. I think there's a lot more stuff that Julie wants to do. There's hungry. She'll know she wants to get better at pro fights. Longsword, I know there's just that one title that she wants. She wants to be that number 1 somewhere somehow, and I think she'll get it. And I just want her to take some time off. But super proud of her. She did a lot of work. That fight, when I looked at the card, points were like 2 points.
I believe it. I believe it from watching. Yeah.
It wasn't hard, so it wasn't like she was missing that much. Let's see who else we have. Of course, I got taken out of the singles. Spencer did longsword, and he finished in the top 10, but he got eliminated in the quarterfinals.
Yeah.
for Longsword. And then it's also eliminated in the quarterfinals, which is surprising to me.
Yeah,
Landon was eliminated in the quarterfinals.
that was a surprise. But
The
who
quarterfinals, but
do you know who took gold for men's sword and shield?
for men's sword and shield, I did not
I
catch
didn't
who
see
that
it.
was. But from longsword, it was Karo
From Poland.
from Poland, which
Yeah.
is a protege of Marcin.
Yeah.
Spencer lost to him early on, and they're about the same size. And I said, and that makes like Ian Spencer was like, it makes sense.
Yeah.
Uh, I've been
Yeah.
training them. And here's what I will say: I talked to all of them. Because all four of these people, Shoshana, Julie, Spencer, and Landon, went to Prague to compete at Prague for the duels there. And even from them, they all said the same thing that the quality of singles competitors, duelists, and IMCF were much higher than the ones that were at Prague.
I mean, we've been saying it for a while. The dual rules are better in IMCF, just hands down better, and therefore we get the best duelists. You know, it's we can I think there's a lot of debate on other things, and like there's some stuff Buhurt League is just better at. Like their rules are just written better, right? Like hands down, their production value in putting out a rule set is better. But like when it comes down to purely having like, hey, this is the way singles should be fought. IMCF takes the cake. It is there. I think there's some tweaks that could be made to make it better, but it is definitely the better dual system. It's more fun. It looks cooler. It's just better.
Yeah, and you know what? As I was watching the pro fights. The pro fights aren't as bad as I thought they were.
We still need a lot of work.
Still need a lot of work. I think you're very probably glad that they didn't include ground fighting because you're gonna say, but I think, but there, but I,
Wait,
that's what.
did you see Julie in hers on the non ground fighting thing? She takes her
Yeah.
opponent down and she's literally pulling her fist out, and I'm just like, no, Julie, no, don't do it. You can watch her like reset mid punch. It was. Yeah, but no, I was very glad that they didn't have ground fighting. I was also very glad they fucked up my first round and made my first round 1 minute. So I only had to fight 1 2-minute round, and that 1 2-minute round was enough to tell me that I wanted to drop the tournament because I did not have 2 minutes in me that day. It was rough.
So no, it was definitely one of those things where it was definitely a challenge. But I think, like I said, I think it needs some work. I think here's where my thought process is, and I'm hoping that I can lobby Ali at some point because I know we are revamping a lot of the rules. I know they're taking brothers. One thing that's very open, that they are going to move to a tabletop list. That is going to be Lauren already put that out on the IMCF page.
Good.
So that's not like something secret I don't have to share. I've known about it for like at least a couple of weeks, but I didn't know when that was going to happen. But he put it straight out that hey, we are going to move to a tabletop list.
Perfect. Good.
I kind of have mixed feelings about that. I don't have a problem with the tabletop list. I don't. I think my stickler is that visually to tell the difference between IMCF and Buhurt League stuff. That's just it's the list, right? So you can that's IMCF. This is Buhurt League. It's still fine. I can fight with either one. It's just like me marketing and visually. How do I tell the difference? One of the biggest, easiest differences to tell which one's which. But either way, I don't know. It's fine. But that's for pro fights. Pro fights. Everyone I was supposed to do a pro fight. Funny enough, every heavyweight dropped out. Every single one of us were like, got to a point where we're like, we were tired, beat up, or just were like, ugh, I don't want to do this. And didn't do it.
Shouldn't have told you to drop. You'd have walked away with the gold for nothing.
Just walked right into it. I'm still here. Forfeit, gold medal. Oh yeah, undefeated, flawless victory, nothing. Yeah, I was like, oh man. But there was that. And then we had one other person pro fight. We had, well, actually two others. We had Ashley Haynes. Ashley did her first pro fight. She did a WFC rules when she was down here, but this is her first IMCF pro fight. She fought like a 5-year vet. That match was had to be stopped, but in that first round, she kept it kind of close, and she had taken a solid clean takedown on the woman from Denmark or Finland.
It was Denmark. She fought Denmark. Beth fought Finland
Okay, yeah.
to open it up.
Yeah. So she was eliminated before she got to there. And then Beth Hammer had two pro fights and finished out with silver in her weight class.
Correct. Yep.
So and then I think that was it. I think that's everybody who.
Brian had a pro fight.
Yes.
He won his first pro fight,
but
lost his second, and somehow I think got bronze anyway. That's what I was told, but I don't remember seeing him get a bronze.
I don't think so, because in his weight class, no, he didn't get bronze because the guy from Canada was in his weight class and he got bronze.
Yeah, I believe we at some point we were told he got bronze, and then I never saw him get it, so I'm like, I wonder if that actually happened. But I wonder, they probably just counted the points wrong. Uh-oh. I think I lost Cyrus. Well, while Cyrus is hopefully coming back, we didn't. Brian also fought longsword. We'll go over the rest of the singles that I remember. He didn't make it out of his pool because he got one win and one loss, but he only had one person in it. They only had 3 people in it, so the person he beat, I guess, had better scores against the other person. Oh, hey, you're back. All right. I was just going over Brian's longsword. He didn't make it out of the pools.
No, Brian did not make it out of the pools. Once again, Brian had said to him, he'd tell me later, he's like, he had just, other than the qualifier, he had done longsword and more.
No, he had, and also he was also sick. He
was looking like a skeleton for the first couple days.
I didn't realize it, but he comes and tells me after he fought and like I'd been in his corner giving him advice, and he's like, "Oh yeah, I've basically been peeing water out of my butt for 3 days," and I'm like, I feel like that might have changed our strategy had I known. Yeah.
But like I said, overall, that's I think that's everyone who medals.
No, Marie got.
Oh yes, I'm sorry, Marie. I'm sorry, Marie got silver. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Marie got silver in polearm, which is impressive. What I think is far more impressive is in their early rounds, their first fights, they won either their first 3 or their first 2 fights in 1 round each.
Really?
Yeah. The other fighter was just like, nope, I'm good. I don't need this. I don't need this smoke.
I only caught their gold medal match that they lost. So I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah. So they lost to the person to someone they'd already beat in the pools. So tough luck, but definitely has it in them to get gold. So hopefully next time around. And that's it for medals. Catherine also did did polearm, fought for bronze, but didn't take it. So 4th place, so that's also pretty dope. Yeah.
So you think you're gonna do polearm again, or are you just gonna call it quits?
I mean, we'll see. I probably depending on how we do the next AMCF qualifier, I might do that same thing of walk in and fight all of them and see what I end up repping.
Yeah, because I don't know when the qualifier is going to be. I haven't figured that out yet. We've got like 20 other things.
Yeah, you just got back from it. I don't expect it, but
it'll be towards the end of the year. I do want to do it this year because
that would be excellent.
I mean, it'll be too late. I would like to do it sometime before the end of the year, but we'll see how that gets in the schedule.
Yeah. Could be hard to slip it in, but it'd be really cool to get it done, and it really have some time to sort of work together.
But that also depends, though, and when we do it, when and where the next World Championships is.
Do we know when that will be decided?
If I had to say, probably in the next month or 2.
Okay. When's the next IMCF meeting? When are you guys next putting your heads together?
I do believe it'll probably be either at the end of this month or at the very beginning of June. So within the next few weeks.
Okay, cool.
We wanted to kind of, they're doing some reviews, some other things. We've had like a kind of a powwow like in the Discord and about some other things. So yeah, probably like the next month or so, a month or two. But I know they're, the partnership with Belmonte, I know there was like a lot of things that they're still wrapping up with that. So they had about 4,800 people in attendance.
Oh, jeez.
They sold 6,000 tickets, but ultimately around 4,800 people
Cool.
were there continuously, except for that last day. You saw the last day. No, that was the last day. The last day it was a holiday. Well, the holiday ended the day before, so everybody went back to work. So I was like, okay.
I feel like we should have scheduled it. It just feels weird to me that the finals are the day no one was there.
Yeah, that was like,
I was like,
packed every other day except for the finals.
except for the finals.
There was
But
like maybe 100 people there at best. And those are people. And the thing about it is that you would think that even in the finals that the people were there, but not even the people who lived there. I think about this. When we left, there was no one around.
yeah.
There was no one there in towns. Think about this. No, and the thing is, isn't that crazy? Like all these other people who were coming in from the surrounding areas, surrounding cities and things like that. But the people who lived there were like, nah, we're good. We're good. Because they have that local team that's competing.
They probably see it, every couple months or something. So
yeah, like actually every other month, every 2 months, like every 2 or 3 months, because the local team that's there, which was Spain too, La Mancha, Buhurt La Mancha, which is like in that kind of county, I guess. They're throwing tournaments there every couple of months. So and it's on the weekend. So I guess that's how it ended up being. I don't know. Alex says she's on her. I don't know if she's coming in or not.
Yeah. I'm gonna go through some of the chat things since we've been talking. Nerdy Rad Tech is Shelby. She was talking about, so she'd been talking to Laurent. So that's who the rep was. I thought we had some international audience. I guess not. A lot of people talking about how cool Shosh is. Where's the book deal?
Yeah, book deal?
For where's the book deal for Shosh for being the greatest fighter in the world? I think that's what he's saying. Chris Tiger Shady is asking if I added to my sleeve. I did. I got one of the two crests that were all over the castle. I don't know if it's actually the crest of the castle, but so we got one for every year now. Everyone agrees IMCF dueling is better. Josh says we should move to a corn cob top list because it'll give the Americans an advantage. Chris says we should move to an Olympic fencing ranked system. So to allow people to find similar competition across the country and give better recognition.
You're asking for a lot.
I was gonna say it is a great thing to move towards. I don't think we have the people to manage the infrastructure for that now, but it would be really cool eventually. It also, like, depending on how either if we start a dueling league or how the Buhurt dueling league goes. That may be able to feed into that, and it may not actually be that much work, but like it still requires a bunch of people doing a lot of tracking just to even start that. So
yeah, I think the one thing that you do have the hope on when it comes to that, there are going to be in the infancy stages of ranked pro fights. I don't know, but that's all dependent on the rules they revamp. That's a possibility. That's probably going to come out. I can definitely tell you before the end of summer. Okay. That'll be announced of how that'll do. I don't know like the full details of it because I'm only on the purview side of that and discussions, and then I'll kind of implement it here as they kind of talk about it. But I do know for sure that it's going to happen by the end of summer.
I mean, I feel like this may, I feel like we should keep our pro fights kind of in a beta test. They're new. We don't really know what we're doing with them yet. But
that's the other thing. That's what I'm saying. I know they're going to announce it, but I don't know. The rest of it, I have no idea.
Yeah.
I think what's going to happen is that when I left Belmonte, Denmark and Finland are going to be doing it like in the next like month.
Oh, cool.
And then after that, I think it's like us in like Canada or something like that.
Good.
So
This was supposed to be my year of pro fights, so I'm about it. I'm looking to fight anyone, anywhere, as long as I have money, which I don't for a little while. But if you pay for me, anyone, anywhere.
yeah,
Chuck says he'd be fine with the normal list if refs could call the hooking rule consistently. Doesn't even care what the rules are, and that's the same. It was people have been talking about how bad the marshals were in like fucking us over. I feel like it was mostly just people treated the rules differently. I think there might have been a little bit of sus marshalling against us or for Spain, but mostly I think it was just different marshals called shit differently. Um, like
or yeah, I think it's just say like marshals who were not in the optimal position to call something when another marshal was standing right there didn't
yeah,
know.
and there was also it felt like interpretations were changed mid tourney where essentially they were like, hey, we've been giving you guys breaks on the rail and on the neck, and so now we're just going to start sitting people right away.
Yeah.
That felt. I understand the reasoning of where like you guys are cheating too much, so we gotta step up our enforcement. But like it feels like I don't know. I just keep your enforcement the same.
Yeah, part of
Um,
it, like part of it with the marshalling things like that. I got called for the neck a couple of times, which I was kind of like baffled about, and I know there's a couple other people, and I understand that. I do understand that the marshals are really your first line of defense when it comes to safety, and some of them are more overly concerned about it than others. Because some of them have competitors for us, they're like, "Oh, I understand how that is," and some of them don't, and some of them are like, "I don't know if this is really not something to call it because it's a judgmental thing." But I think that's has something to do with it too. And like I said, misinterpretation of what kind of connection or what.
yeah, I mean, and that's part of that is we just need to get a little bit. This is one of the things that I've been saying is that we need a rules book, but we also need a book that tells people how to call the rules, like an instructions guide for the marshals.
Yeah, and that's why I wish Alice was here because she can speak to that because I know that was one of the things that she was trying to make sure that is done. It's not these. I know the IMCF rules were written partially by Jay and a couple of others, but then it's been translated to German and then not out of German and into other
Yeah,
languages, other things. So then it became vague like later. So I do know that one of the things that she is trying to do is make sure that it is universally written with some detail, especially some details about some questions that are kind of suspect or hard to understand or
yeah.
not clear. Because if you read some of those rules, it's kind of very vague. Then the pro fight rules are super vague. So I don't even know. I was like, can we? At least the WFC rules were like, oh, strikes for 2 points. This is 1 point.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, this is like I can hardly understand.
Um, Josh is saying we should get rid of a list. Open country, no rules. Do what you want. Bring guns.
Well,
Um,
no.
USA wins everything. We bring guns.
Open field fights all the time.
Yo, I'm for open field. What I want, honestly, I think would be so cool. We'll never get there, but what I think would be so cool is bear pits. You just have a hole in the ground and you fighting it, and the walls are like 10 feet high. You can't. There's nothing to hook. There's just a wall. But Chris says tabletops are a must for serious competition, but brings up that it's logistically difficult for smaller clubs, and that is true. So I do hope that we can find a way of saying that like this is required for a certain tier of fights, and then this is required for not, and we can have calls for that.
Yeah, I think I do agree with that. I think that's a good idea. You have certain tiers for it. You can have the standard list that we've been using for so long, and then your tabletop list for like master level or championship series matches that are just a tabletop list. I think that's fair because, like you were saying, I know that doing it like that way is not the hard. But and honestly, that's probably what's gonna. That's kind of. But honestly, though, that already kind of exists, though, right? So, because if you look at it, the bigger tournaments do have the tabletop list as far as H&B rules or River League rules or whatever we call it. And then your lower level ones still use the standard rail they've been using forever. So you kind of still see that breakdown. It just makes sure the difference is making it official, whether or not that's an official thing or not.
Yeah. Chris, no, I haven't fought bear yet. hopefully that happens. We'll see. But Chuck, I agree. I don't think it was malicious. Blah blah blah. We're talking about the rules, the refs again. They also need to learn how to stop fight and what the signals are. In one of the 16s, one marshal told all the fighters to stand. The round was over, and then another screamed at us all to sit back down. Yeah.
Yeah, that happened. That happened a few times, and it was the first 2 days. It was really bad, right? So a couple people, it got people hurt. First 2 days,
Yeah.
it got people hurt. In the last day and a half, of course, that's when they finally got on the same page of what stop fight really means. That means stop fight, not just these people, but everywhere. Stop fight.
I've been saying that's so. I hate the local breaks. I think local break is the dumbest rule. It's both
dangerous.
It's dangerous, and it's also, even if nothing dangerous happens, it is such a way to change the thing. So let's say we call break fight on 3 fighters, but one of them kind of takes 2 steps back. They can run out, and refs never stop them. And then it's just such a weird thing of you 3 are going to now have to not fight because one person has a thing happening while the rest of the fight goes on over here. It's ref's job. Primary job is safety, but secondary job is keeping the flow of the fight. And break fight does the worst job of that. So I'm very happy that they've gone to just total stop fight. And when I used to be head ref, what I would always do is I'd be like, hey, as my side refs, as my line refs, you can't actually call anything, but you can always call stop fight. So call stop fight whenever you see anything. We'll get together like they do in football. We'll talk about it, and then I'll make a fucking call because I'm the head ref. Because it's almost like football's figured this out, and we should fucking just steal how they do it. But,
I think that's definitely a thing that they should do. I'm hoping that's one of the things that they change permanently. I know that towards the end of the format, that's what they were doing, and I think it just needs to go straight to that. You're right.
Yeah.
and then yellow card for teams or competitors that are violating that, or violating that.
Yeah.
One thing I would like to change that this is just me, and I know some people are going to hate it, but I do want, they kind of semi last minute, but I do want to make that flag numbers are required, or allowing us to put numbers on our tabards.
Yes, numbers on the tabards.
Because the flag is, I'm always messing with it, I'm always fucking around with it. Always pops up with something, Doesn't always happen.
Since IMCF doesn't have AC, numbers on the tabards. Numbers on the fucking tabards.
Yeah. Numbers on the tabards are fine too. I don't have a problem with it, but But the thing about it is, if you got to do it for one, and then you have your numbers on your tabards, because most teams only have one set of tabards, and they go to it's like, oh, what was that? We should force change, but we should change for that anyway.
I feel like you can put it together for a fucking, at least for the championships. You can find a way of getting numbers on your tabards, because I can't see a fucking belt flag. Maybe I just have shitty eyes, but I can never, but you put a big ass number and ideally a name, but even just a number on the back, I'll remember that. I'll at least remember 2 or 3 people's numbers by the end of the fucking thing.
Yeah.
And it sounds like a bunch of people in the chat agree with us because we're Americans, and weird that Americans have the same thoughts about it, but Euros hate it, but whatever.
You know what? When they're number 1 across the world, they can complain. We rule the sport now. We've been listed under European laws for decades now. No, we're
it's our turn. It's our turn. No, I think you're right. And but if we can't get it, I do agree. Belt flags are better. Josh is saying the back of the Aventails probably is good, and I think that might actually be better than a belt flag. I don't know, but yeah, I think the perfect solution is back of the tabard, and if you can't do that, I guess a belt flag. But come on.
I just the Aventail thing, no, because when you think about how many times you get head control, think about how many times that thing gets knocked around.
That's true.
This thing's gonna pop off.
That's true.
So it's fine. So that I do things like that. Overall, we had a lot of people who are new at Belmonte, who never fought overseas. Definitely my first
I was
time.
saying, this is yours too, right? Like,
My first time too.
it's it's odd because like some of you, like you're a vet of the sport now. Tanner's a vet of the sport now, but it's your guys' first time over though. So
Yeah.
like that was a little weird for me, where it's like, oh shit, like there was 5, 10 of us who'd been over before.
And that was the reason why. And I talked about this before. Why do we even care about IMCF at this point? Or why do we lobby so hard for it? Well, because and I talked to people before. In the U.S. there are a couple teams that are going to be on top for a while, and especially when it comes to Brewer League, there's just going to be a couple teams that are just going to be reign supreme. They're just going to be, and they're never going to get a chance to do things like IMCF championship, like what we're going to do. Because they're going to be the ones that get all the points. They're going to be the ones who are mainly going to get the points. They're going to qualify for that, or even be organized enough to get the money, the budget to go to a Prague or a different overseas tournament.
Right.
And the one thing where you can fight and earn a spot, and it's fair, and it's equal. Everybody, when you go to a qualifier, it's fair, equal opportunity for you to go and compete for it and qualify to go. And now you have the same 10, 15 people that get to go, or back in the days when it was just like, oh, yeah, like you, and yeah, you're big, come on. You qualify and you earn it, and you get to go. And those people finally get that chance to like go.
And I mean, we brought 50 fighters. You said this year.
Yeah.
So that's really cool. We really got to give a shit ton of people an opportunity, because fighting in a castle is just a different thing. Like,
yeah, I've never fought at a castle before. I've been to several castles, but I never fought at a castle, and that was actually pretty interesting. Having the castle, there's a big giant stadium, as dry and dirty as it was, as dry as it was, and hot as it was. That was still a interesting thing, the different thing. Have a packed full of stands of people cheering for Spain booing the crap out of us after we beat them.
Yeah.
Before we fought them, booing. While we were fighting them, booing. And then after we left, booing. To the point to where I will never forget this, that somebody got so upset that they slapped one of our competitors. They were so mad, they slapped some. They came down, and I was like, Charles, what happened? It slapped. And honestly, it really wasn't even his fault. He was just basically giving back the energy that they were giving us, and they just decided, you know what, we're gonna slap.
Of course, it happens to him though. Like, of course it would be Charles.
They slapped him for something that Zach did.
Yeah, of course that's how it would happen. Of course.
Like, wow. So for people who don't know or didn't see it on the footage, basically what happened was, everybody, this sport is actually pretty popular in Spain. It's actually, it's televised, all this stuff. And, anytime a Spain competitor was in there, the crowd was cheering super hard. They would boo if they lost. They're very just into it. And during our match with Spain too was very emotional, very high tension, because we weren't playing. We learned from our loss with Spain 1 that we weren't going to play that. Oh, we're going to come at you because that's and chase you around because that's what you do. They want.
It went 3 rounds. That was an intense match.
Super intense match. And basically, we were drawn. Our idea was, okay, we're not going to engage. We're going to hold back, and we're going to literally draw a line in the sand. And everybody was going to do it. And the thing about it was, before we could even do it, they did it. They walked up and just drew a line in the sand. So they had the same idea we did. They just beat us to it. And then all of a sudden, like you see, Charles drew a line span, does like his little, kung fu place. Then Spencer runs to the middle of the list and just starts galloping, draws a line. He draws like a line in the fans, and then Zach, he's so big, like he just hit. He just did this kick one, and the dirt flew up into the stands. And they didn't like that because it landed on them. And apparently, that's like giving someone the finger to their face. And that's pretty much what happened with. And then that's the part they didn't like. That's actually like a very big no-no. You don't kick dirt in people's face. That's like giving them a finger. And then the match goes and we beat him. And then Charles is celebrating. He's walking around and he just comes out, and then literally just one person just walks down, just slaps him in the back of the head, and it was like, what the?
Here's
I
the
was
thing,
like,
though. Like, how brave do you have to be to go slap a 6'4" man with a giant axe who's just went on like a murder streak?
yeah.
Like,
And then and then once you did that, Charles was like off the leash. Then he was like, I love it. Come on, I love it. And then we got that 16s match. Oh, he left no survivors. He was fired up just for that.
yeah, yeah. It was wild.
It was wild. So it was a great emotional thing. I wish that we had that much emotion in our matches here. We don't. Dragon Con is probably the closest, but that's probably as close as I can get. I can get to that happening here.
Yeah.
Um,
I mean,
yeah,
maybe if we did host a championship, we'd get it, but
Yeah, I'm hoping one day that'll happen. I don't know when that day will come. That would be nice. I honestly don't. I would. People ask me about that. Like wherever just like it was like, it's Europe, man. They're just kind of they're in their own world. We spend thousands of dollars every other year, going over there. There's castles here. Yeah, I don't know.
yeah.
I really.
Convincing them to come over it'll take a lot, but White Company did come to Carnage, so we can probably get some of them.
But I'm hoping that that'll change because we just beat everyone. In multiple categories, we just eclipsed everyone.
Right. We have duelists showing up. We got pro fighters showing up. Obviously, we're there in mass melees, and we're there at fives now.
And we've dominated the women's division, the men's division. I mean, there's so many different categories we dominated in. I don't see why they wouldn't. If we did one that's not, we had one team from the Carnage. Why they wouldn't want to? If you threw a big one that's notified enough with enough time,
yeah.
We'll see. Even if it's just a couple of, who knows? And maybe at Carnage, maybe next year at Carnage, maybe that's what happens. Maybe not just White Company, but a bunch of other teams decide to go to that. I don't know. I don't really know.
Chuck is saying the North America Cup, USA versus Canada versus Mexico, which I think we talk about trying to make that happen.
That is definitely a possibility. I know that's one of the things that IMCF wants to do is like these more regional continental battles for IMCF championships, and I think that's definitely possible. Do I know if that's going to happen in the next
year?
I don't know.
But yeah.
Okay. Could we make it happen? Absolutely. Could I make it happen? Yes, but there's so many things.
Yeah, we had a lot we're trying to make happen already.
A lot to make happen. I don't think I can make that happen this year. But honestly, that already kind of exists because you already have Axnax, which already had Canada last year, and it would just take. All it would take is for
making it country based.
Yeah, a country based one with a North American championship. They already do North American championships. That's Axnax.
Yeah. But that's a club. It's still a club thing, though.
It's still a club thing.
So.
Would you have a national team there? We could probably make it, but I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah. I do know Will Alloway was trying to make a USA versus Canada thing happen at the Cheese Cup in September. I don't know how that's going. I haven't been talking to them in a minute because my life got real crazy for the past month and a half. And I'm gonna try to not do anything for a little while after this.
Yeah. Other than run some AMCF admin stuff, and I'm pretty much not doing anything.
You're training? You're clearly training.
I'm not even going to be doing that.
No? Shit. When's the wedding though? That's in a month, right?
A month and a half out.
Yeah.
And I've got 3 different work projects I got to finish. I've got other than running my being a duals class on occasion. I can't.
Yeah.
I got so many work projects. I got nothing to do. I made a promise that I would take off the next 90 days. I've been putting in a lot of time. So other than some AMCF projects that we're going to narrow down and fix up, and some internal stuff we got to get ready to do and organize, because basically to me, our end of year is IMCF championships is the end of the year, right?
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
Okay. It's now it's okay, that's over. What's the reset of what's the thing? So I will say this though. and I don't know. We'll probably still we're gonna post this later, but for people who are looking at this, we are going to be needing marshals. So if we're going to work on the training thing. That's why we're hoping to have Allie here, but it's not looks like she's not going to make it. But she is going to be at Warren and North as long as we can get the funds ready, and we
We can
will
make that
hope
happen.
do a training thing. I'm hoping. So hopefully news on that in the next month or so ish, maybe at least by the end of June.
Yeah.
Hopefully we can make sure that's a training thing because that's we're co-hosts of that. And then the other thing is that there was something else I was gonna say. Training for that, and then the positions. So we do need marshals. So we unfortunately due to some personal stuff, Blake cannot be our head marshal anymore. We are going to look for a new head marshal for IMCF. We do have congratulations. I should say one thing I forgot to do. Congratulations to Franklin Brodsky because he is our first ever certified IMCF marshal. He was at Belmonte there. He was actually one of the most reliable people that they had. And Ali was praising his graces. She was like, "Thank you so much for bringing him," because he was like a ray of sunshine of just knowing the rules and just and then following directions and then enforcing them and knowing to bow out when his certain competitors are there. So I do want to throw that in there. Franklin did a fantastic job. So he's our first night marshal. Unfortunately, he didn't really want to be the head marshal. It was kind of too much for him. But we are going to be looking for a head marshal, if not two, if not maybe three head marshals, split it up regionally. So if you're interested in becoming a marshal and you can be once you get it solidified and you want to be at Warren North when we do that, if Alec can make it, get certified, that's huge help for us. And then we are going to fill out another board position and the board. We are looking for, and I'll post more of this later. We do need a vice president of the AMCF. We just need one. I'm busy. There's a lot. This job is a lot more than what I thought it was going to be. And it not just because of things for the team, but also international committee stuff that I have to do and beyond. I'm up at like 4 a.m. Being on these meetings. And if you guys remember at El Belmonte, I'm like there at 8 a.m. leaving at like 10. After you guys were all gone, I was still there every day. And so there was that. And so there are a lot of things, projects and things like that we need a VP for. So we are going to look for a VP. And we do have the secretary position, but I think that they found someone to take Jocelyn's spot once her.
Yeah. She was saying Roman.
Roman from ACW Midwest KC Servants.
Cool.
So yeah, I think we're gonna put that to a vote in our next meeting. But if you guys have questions or agendas that you guys want us to discuss, before our meetings that you guys want to see or change or brought up, we take suggestions and questions about that too.
Yeah, please. Next meeting we're trying to have is in a couple weeks. So if you have anything you want us to go over, please get it to us soon. So that we can do that.
For VPs, we need key accountability.
Yeah, and also someone step up to be the VP, and someone step up to be our marshal.
Yeah, someone's going to be our marshal or VP. Because there's a lot of things you want to do, and I think there's a lot of things that we need to, but we just don't have the staff or the infrastructure to do. And I know there's a little changes that we want to do, and there's some big things that are on the horizon, but without people who want to do them, it's going to take me and Ringo like 5 years to do it.
Yeah.
Because we have lives and we don't get paid for this, and it's free.
It's we get paid in thanks, and not much of that, not much of that.
Not much of that. A lot more complaints than everything. But that's kind of the job I took. Ben messaged me. He was asking where I put the link for this. I was like,
I only got one question from people before we started. I forgot about that, so I'll pull that up now. It was to talk about the 10s and then also to talk about how we're going to deal with bias in the future, which obviously would have been an alley question.
Yeah.
But I don't know if you have thoughts you wanna go over.
Yeah, I think so. I'll answer the question about the thing marshaling out, because I had a conversation with Ali about and Lauren about that. So this year we kind of got screwed because a lot of the marshals who were going to come were pretty much told that if they came to us, they would be banned from Buhurt League, any Buhurt League was. That's legit what happened. We
Yep.
had other, we had actually two other marshals who were going to come, but they're like, and I'm going to lose my status on my with Buhurt League if they go, which I think is stupid and BS. And so a lot of marshals end up not being able to come. Um, the the hope is that with this new certification program, that they'll be able to find a new crop of marshals. There's actually four other certified marshals I'm aware of that are in Europe. There's two in Spain. There's like a couple in Denmark, a couple other places that they're hopefully going to do more certification events. Then they are, certified by Ali to do more certifications for. The hope is in the next IMCF World Championships or whatever we decide to do, hopefully, or at the very least, the World Championships, that each country can bring in at least a handful, at least 4 or 5 every time, and that way, if they can build rotations in different crews, that loses the bias. This year, we were kind of forced into a situation where we didn't have, because of that Buhurt League, we didn't get enough, and so Spain provided a bunch that they had around the country. So they had like 15 or 16 people that they had that were doing like their local events and other events in like Madrid and Barcelona that they had. So they kind of pulled them all there. So I think that's the plan for that, to locate the bias for marshals. About the tens, what is the plan about the tens? So, both me and Ringo think the tens, are like I said, we've already talked about it, what we think of it, and even there's a couple people even now that talked about doing tens. I know Charlie Brumfield here has always wanted to do tens and tens tournaments. So the long-term plan, and Warren North is going to be a test to see how successful this is that we hope to do regionally to do tens tournaments, like one in kind of different regions, and then those top 2 or 3 or however we figure out those top 3 that win those tournaments to feed into a tens championship, just a 10 straight up tens championship. That's tens can be done in one day, so it's not like it's super hard and it's just fading because and why are we doing that? Well, one, because number one, tens is fun, but also one of the things that I've discovered, and Mickey can also tell you, I'll tell you, some of the people who have really been putting a lot of money in this. The only way for me to successfully finance or help assist Team USA in long term is that we get sponsors and we get these deals, and we need to do something that's consistent and regular, that puts butts in seats for sponsors to give us money to do more stuff. But also tens is fun, and that's number one thing, is tens are fun. But doing something regular to do that is the ultimate thing, and put butts in seats, and we get money from tickets, and we get people who actually recognize the sport more. Even if it's only 4 times a year that we do one in Warren North, we do something on the West Coast, we do something like that's still regular event. And then and then the 4th or 5th event being the championship or whatever it is we decide to do, which it still brings a nuance to the sport. Another thing is that and as I've talked to the other IMCF committee members, is that, like we were talking about before, Buhurt League has the marketing for fives on lock. They just do. HMB and Buhurt League always had it. They've just always had the marketing, brand recognition of that. And my whole thing is that, what does AMCF or the IMCF, what is different about us versus them, right? Yes, we have fives, but they also have fives and prime and all sorts of stuff. What can we do better than them? Well, we can do singles a lot better than they do, and singles. And yes, we have fives, but then we can put a spotlight on tens. We can spotlight on more of a spotlight. We actually have a valid and usable rule set for pro fights. Does it need improvements? Yes, but Buhurt League doesn't do pro fights. The WMFC is pretty much dead. So we could probably just steal their system and just call it whatever we're going to call it, championship bouts or elite pro fight or whatever we were calling it at Belmonte. they don't have a monopoly on the rule set. So
Copyrighting rule sets is real hard and
yeah, we
real
can't.
hard to prove in court.
Yeah,
Um,
but they do have a pro. But we can't call them pro fights. That's what they were calling them championship bouts because they actually do have a trademark for that. So we can't.
well, also,
But
pro fights is a bad name because it makes you think like people are getting paid. So like
yeah,
it, it's the language we came up with. But if we could get away from it, it would be good.
you said pro fights.
Yeah, just because like I use it too, but like pro fights makes you think people are pros, and like we're not.
Yeah, the name we're going under for Belmonte was championship bouts.
Yeah,
Or it's called elite fights,
yeah.
elite fights, elite
But like
fine.
even the day of, even there, I was hearing people call them pro fights. Like I think I
Yeah,
heard marshals call them pro
yeah.
fights.
It's kind of hard to. It's a super default that we just everybody's like, oh, pro fights.
Yeah,
I think it'll take time for us to change the value, but I think in those three names was for definitely for duels, for some of the mass battle stuff, and then even for these elite fights or championship bouts, whatever they call it. I think that's the difference between us and this. And I think those are a lot of things, and those are a lot of things that we like here. We like fives, but I think a lot of people like, ooh, want to do tens and
yeah.
want to do these fights, and then duels or have slowly gathered like the last 2 years, 2 3 years have been being larger and larger and larger,
Yeah.
especially the Carters.
Shout out to you for the Wandering Cup you helped put together last year too.
And duels are easy. You can get some duelists. Like, oh yeah, they'll smack around, and it's easier on the body. Like it's easy, much easier. Well, except for pole arm. Pole arm is just that's not.
I mean, pole arm's easier on the body as long as like Austin's not in the list, and
Austin's not listening. Certain people just aren't out there.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I fought pole and been okay. Simon, Austin, Creed. Don't let them in, and pole's fine.
Yeah, there's no. But also, I think tens will be the next evolution because it'll change your mindset and your strategy.
Mm-hmm.
How you have to start to come up with new teamwork and new things. And fives are like, man, it's always changing. It's rapidly evolving. But I think it's going to be a certain point that, yep, here's the two metas that are successful.
And the evolutions over the past 4 to 5 years have been real small. Like it's still a 2-1-2. Just now the twos are a little bit in more, and like it's the meta is it's changing, but like they're small subtle changes for the most part. And like tens, we haven't even figured out the base meta yet. I don't think.
And I think that's going to be interesting to see. Us. If you put that competitively, I think you'll see because another reason why I want to do that is because at these larger events, these world championship events and things like that, tens, you saw either it goes one way or it goes one way real fast. And if you have people who are regularly competing in them, they've come up with strategies and conveniences that makes that category evolve and be different.
Yeah.
So,
we got 2 questions. First one, Bam is asking, is there pay for marshals? And I think yes.
Yes. So at Belmonte, the Belmonte, any marshals that weren't local did travel in. They got paid. At our qualifiers, they got paid. Our goal is to, yes, every time that we primarily host an event, yes, marshals will be compensated. That's my goal. Like, I'm never gonna pay fighters. I'm just gonna be honest with you guys. I'm never gonna pay you guys. I'm just not.
I think the dream of paying fighters should die. I think it's toxic to the sport. I've been in more pay to play sports in my life than like anything else, and no one. Like, I pay to play BJJ, and that's actually a sport that has professionals in it, right? Like, pay to play is the way you build the sport. So,
right. I think there's only one class of competitors that will ever get paid, and that's going to be the pro fight people. That's those that down the line that will probably happen. But
I think there will be times when fives teams get paid.
Yeah.
But like it'll be one-off things. At least for the next 10, 20 years, right? Yeah. And like even then, if you ever get to doing more than breaking even, I will be surprised.
Yeah. But yes, but marshals, absolutely. I think all support staff, marshals, armorers, things like that should be regularly compensated, and that's what I'm trying to build too. Is mostly those because we need to have those people, especially going overseas. I would love to have an armor. Unfortunately, we were having armor, but unfortunately, financially, we couldn't get him. We couldn't pay for him to go, and and he couldn't afford it either. So, my goal is that marshals do get regularly compensated because one thing about the registration fees for events, that's where that money goes. Like that's why we're going to have registration fees forever because we need to have a way to pay those, and we don't have another way to generate that income other than paying marshals, like every other sport.
What was it? Like sports do? You mean? Like I said, pay to play.
Pay to play. So pay to play is mostly that money goes majority to pay our staff, to pay the support staff that we need.
Yeah.
So yes. From now on, as far as I'm concerned, for our events, my goal is to our marshals get compensated and qualifiers get compensated in the future they will still same.
Yeah, and I believe the current plan is for marshals to get paid at War in the North. That is coming out of both the registration fees and the door gate fee, but well, that depends on if we actually hit our goals on registration, really. So please come and register. Kraken, and so that was Bam who was asking about marshals. Kraken wants to know, he says, the plan with the Tens is to make it run like an actual league. Only the best of the region makes it to the nationals. That's right? Yeah.
Yes. So run it like an actual league because that's the easiest way. Because fives are hard when we do fives tournaments to relegate, but tens not as hard.
Yeah.
To make a league for that.
Yeah. So and I mean no one else is doing it, so that's where we can hopefully step up and make a change. Who knows what regions may for the first time regions may be West Coast, East Coast, right, or something like that.
It might be it. I've kind of touched base with some of the people on the West Coast and just different regions, and like, okay, the Northeast, the northern Midwest, the southern states, and kind of like I could probably divide the country up probably about like 4 different ways.
Right.
And then then it says, do we allow how much cross play do we allow when we do that? It kind of depends.
Yeah, but first we have to prove that tens is valid. So come out to War in the North.
Yeah. So I think I've talked to some warlords today, and I think some of them want to go to that because it's gonna be the first one, so we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, and I mean I'm pretty confident it'll go well, but we just have to prove it first, right? We don't want to put our money ahead, put together a whole plan for a league, and then no one comes out.
Yeah, because Ringo brought me down to like I was just gonna just do a big thing with a big stadium and everything. It's like he talked me down to like no, let's just do a big thing.
Let's just do it. Let's do it first.
Let's just do it further. It's like you're right. I don't want to put all this money into it and it falls flat on the face. Mm-hmm. I had grandiose dreams. Like, he brought me back to reality. So this is why I need board members to like who really want it. Like, I was gonna do something whole. I was like, man, I was looking at arenas. I'm like, all right.
I mean, I'm about it, but like baby steps. No,
it's absolutely right.
Cool. You got anything else you want to go over?
No, I was hoping Alex would make it, but it's not looking like she is.
Yeah.
So,
all right.
But I do know that either before or after our committee meeting, that she and Lauren are going to go over, the martial improvement. They already know they talked about it on the IMCF page. I know they're going to go in more depth about it. I just wanted her to kind of get her side of it because I know some people were like really on her about some stuff. But I want to say that she did do a really good job. It's just that there's a lot of things that happened even out of her control that were just kind of like none of us saw coming.
And let's be real. This was, I believe, it probably wasn't her first time running an event, but it's definitely her first time running anything of this size, right?
Yeah.
Like, and if I remember, 4 years ago in Denmark was her first time at one of these. So,
have one of those and only do local events, and now you're they're lead marshal of the world event.
So to step up, I think she did fucking great.
Yeah.
There were issues. There always are. I've been to a shit ton of these. I've heard about a shit ton of these. I've never heard of one of these ever happening without people bitching about the marshals. Because guess what? Sports athletes bitch about the refs. I've also never played a game of soccer where people didn't bitch about the refs.
I was just watching the Super Bowl a couple months ago, and after that day was over, like,
bitching about the refs.
Bitch about the Super Bowl. It was bullshit. So it's always a good thing. I think it's just one thing I do. I make sure I made sure that she was aware that hey, it's not you. It's just things happen, and we don't like it. Other than that, no, I think that's it. I don't, unless there was anything else that you had. I think I went over that. I probably will do a post of on written post of the results, but I kind of don't want to because I'm tired.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll ask Jocelyn or somebody that has to do it. They're not doing anything
Yeah.
right now. So, but yeah, as far as how many people from the board were there, as myself, Ringo, Spencer,
Spencer. Yeah.
we're all there, in support, competing and supporting people. So, I know that people were asking about why are the other bear members not here. Well, some could afford it, and then some of them were like, hey, they had obligations to other people, they couldn't go.
Yeah.
So there was that. So other than that, that's it.
All right.
Shadows right now, but
Cool. Well, I guess that's it. Thanks for doing this. I guess one last chance to ask questions, guys. I'll give you.
You have a raw video of this, or just stays?
So, I've been having a lot of tech problems this whole time, so it's supposed to be recording. We'll see how that actually turned out.
We can post this instead of posting like the other stuff and just post the discussion to the page. But let me know. It's all good.
Yeah, it should be. I should have the raw, but the Zoom recording never turned on, and the Twitch one's supposed to be going, but
well, your OBS saves it, right? OBS.
It does, but like it also when I first tested it, it had my mic working and a bunch of other stuff, and then when we went live, people were like, "Nah, your settings are all fucked up," and I'm like, "Cool, well."
Yeah.
So
this is free, but
yeah, I mean Twitch. It will be on Twitch, so I can pull it, but that won't be the raw. So
yeah, either footage, any footage we got, we just post it to the Facebook.
Yeah. I'll give you something. All right. I don't remember what my usual trash sign off is, so no, Julie, I'm not gonna do it. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Cyrus. We out. Peace.
All right.